that I wanted to be in the club every night. And
I
if,
said
and
I
if I
wanted to
wanted,
see.
where did you get that from? From
We
being
had a
social? Social is a
conversation.
term to use for
Like
networking.
I'm not gonna. This is what Demetrius is not gonna do. I'm not gonna argue back and forth with.
Woo, Chile. Listen, Demetrius and Precious go at it, axe to axe, sword to sword, fist to fist. It was crazy watching these two. I'm still in the midst of not really fully understanding the argument. I get both. I get Precious's beef. She felt like Demetrius tarnished her name by taking back information to the guys by saying she's a bit of a party girl. Babe, here's the thing. If the other guys have experienced you, they know why they didn't want to be with you. He didn't really tarnish your name. When people experienced you, that's what they experienced. This is what we're talking about, self-awareness and being able to experience the fact that when you have people experience you in a certain way, what do they feel when they experience you? You got to be able to be open to the fact that, do you know what? Maybe it wasn't that situation. Maybe people experienced me and they didn't like what they experienced. You know, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. If you're new to the channel, do me a massive, massive, massive favor. Like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. For those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there, they are hot. Let's put a little intro and we'll get the show going, baby. You know what time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Listen, we were talking to you guys obviously about Ready to Love and dealing with Precious and Demetrius. And I got to be honest with you, I think watching these two was quite an interesting battle. Let's watch a bit more.
If you want to listen and stop trying to talk over me and just listen, then you maybe have an understanding.
Now, I think, bro, man, Demetrius came out with the show guns. Man said, listen, if you just listened, it was a very assertive, I guess, as Precious put it, chastisement. In that moment, if you just listened and hear, I think because it's edited slightly, I'm struggling to kind of jump down his throat a little bit. But it definitely, when you heard it, when you watched it, it didn't sound good, right? Now, of course, I think you can always be assertive. I think you should always let people know, you know what, you know, you're not feeling this particular way, or this is not what you believe it is. Or if you felt like, oh, do you know what, you need to listen a bit more, fine. But just the way he went up, just the way it sounded very authoritarian. And remember, we already have an idea of Demetrius as being almost a bit of a controller. So anything that will sound authoritarian will sound like do you know what, this is not great. Anything that he says that sounds authoritarian will sound like, oh, do you know what, he's being a bit being too much. Truth of the matter is, I'll be honest with you, it probably wasn't as bad as it was, but it set Precious off on the chain. I mean, she went off. That's
You're chastising me, and that's something that I'm not going to allow to happen. You're not going to talk at me, period.
Man, come on. Why are you trying to play this victim role, though?
Victim?
Oh, he said victim, and she went off on one. Victim, you know, and went off on one. Listen, let me be very frank and honest, though. You know, this argument didn't help itself, both parties. First and foremost, when we deal with his response, Demetrius, you know, no, sorry, Precious, where she said, obviously, if you're not going to chastise me, I'm not going to let you happen. Then he's like, you're not going to play this victim. I don't know if she was playing victim. I don't know if her saying, I felt like you tarnished my name, this was playing a victim. But I think it did lack a bit of self-awareness in terms of, babe, people are experiencing you and they're not enjoying the experience that they're having of you. So I think I said this from earlier, a better question for Precious would have been to ask and see, hey, guys, what are you experiencing when you're talking to me? What are you experiencing when you're dealing with me? That would have been a better question for her to have asked the guys, rather than it being her just assuming that, oh, that's what we mean. You know what I mean? Like that for me was a bit problematic for me. You assumed. And when you assume, that's where you miss it, and you don't really understand where people are coming from. And I think that's where Demetrius was kind of getting to understand. Don't assume. Don't assume that you've got the answer. Listen to me and hear me out. But at the same time, the way he said it, you know, so now it starts a battle of power. She doesn't want to be chastised. He doesn't want to be told what to do. We've got two people unwilling. Now it's a problem. right?
You sat there and assassinated
What
my
did I
character.
assassinate
Oh,
about
and she
your
want to be in the
character?
club every night. All you had to do was say that I wasn't for you.
I said that. I said,
Bruh.
hey, I want to know what the depth
And
of
and
what
you're
she
blaming
wants in
all
a
the guys
relationship.
on-
Okay, so his thing, he did kind of say the club situation too, right? That was a bit of an addition that didn't need to happen. He did mention the club situation. So let's be honest, the club thing was a bit much, yeah? At the same time, that's not what sent you home, baby. That is not what sent you home. What sent you home, okay, is how you interacted with the men and how the men felt like they interacted with you. Her saying, obviously, you're he's hiding behind saying all the men. Well, both could be true. If the men were feeling like he was lying, why haven't the men come out and said, Precious, actually, how I felt about you was not because of Demetrius. It's because of Demetrius. Why haven't the guys also backed that sentiment? That's the self-awareness I'm talking about from Precious. She's fighting a point about the situation about you told the guys this. What did the guys think though? Because you had one date, no conversation with him, you said, right? What happened between yourself and Paul? What happened between yourself and someone else? You have to start asking those questions so we get an idea of what went wrong. You saying, oh, the guys, do they think that? Well, all the guys are also not coming out and saying, yeah, Demetrius say it to her. Or do you know what? Hey, I'll be honest with you. I was feeling you, Precious, until he said what he said. Nobody's calling him out on that, which means they probably agreed the sentiment that he made. Darling, you're fighting a losing battle.
What you're saying, stand in your truth. I ain't hear all the guys say
So that
Precious
means
was
they
too
didn't say it?
social. Yes.
So Demetrius has all of the power to
What I
eliminate
saw
you.
Demetrius say on there saying that I wanted to be in the club and I was too social. What I saw on the television is what I'm holding.
Now, she may be triggered because maybe she's heard this before. Maybe she's heard guys say this before. Maybe it's a rejection piece for the fact that guys rejected her after that was kind of said. Maybe she's trying to she's trying to find a reason, a cause and effect. You know, I always talk about this, trying to find a cause and effect of why a situation has happened the way it has. Sometimes, though, your cause and effect without there being enough information isn't quite right. So I think what we're seeing though with the situation with Precious, again I say it, she needed to go and ask the guys. Oh, a little bit of spit on my mouth there, boys. She needs to go and ask the guys what their reasoning was for this, so that this argument doesn't happen.
You accountable for, bro.
Hey, what's
Through
the
his
problem?
life,
Are you
yelling at me
feeling
because
some
I'm on
type of
his
way about
lawn. Yeah, I'm feeling some type of way, absolutely. And I want you to address how I feel.
It's really interesting as well, like because obviously I know that there's beef obviously between I say beef, but at least there's isn't good relations all the way between the Carmen, Donovan, and Precious. Precious on the side of the other side, especially with the Carmen situation. But again, nobody's come to her aid. Nobody said that, you know, he said something wrong, or none of the guys have come out against anything. No one's really defended her point. Of course, Precious can defend herself, but it'd been good to hear if any of the guys or any of the ladies thought the same thing. What Demetrius had said was what caused her demise. We didn't really hear that, to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
You're not gonna do that, bro. Then you can step on.
I'm not your brother.
You. Ooh.
Precious.
And I think some of the audience have made a good point. Why did Tommy say something about F you now with Precious, but when Eric says something, I mean, Eric did apologize, to be fair. Eric did apologize, but it's just, and maybe as well, again, people need to take into account the fact that the progression of the show, if you're filming for 8 hours, later on in the thing, you might be more alert to these things rather than earlier on in the beginning. So, you know, maybe you've heard one or too many comments from people and you're tired of it. Do you get me? But let's have a look.
Language.
I feel disrespected.
There has to be a better way.
I didn't disrespect you.
Yeah, you absolutely
I said you
did.
wasn't for
You
me.
absolutely
That's what I said.
disrespected me.
That's
and I
not
have
disrespect.
nothing else to say to you.
You're not hurting my feelings.
No, Demetrius is actually mad. He's like, you're not hurting my feelings. Demetrius is a cold-blooded killer because he doesn't get vexed to the point. I mean, he did get a little bit heated as well, but he knows he's pressing some buttons out here. Instead of calling the argument, he's not. He's absolutely inflating the argument. And he could have really just been like, listen, look, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. Look, that wasn't my intentions, but I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. You know, I believe the guys did have their thoughts. This was their thoughts. And I don't want to argue about, Rather, if you want to know, ask the guys. You know what I mean? Like, it could have been deflated.
I care about hurting your feelings, Demetrius. You are a non-factor in any of this for me.
So why are you making this a big deal though?
Because I don't like anybody talking
Trying to
about me,
like,
period.
Well, if he's a non-factor, babe, you kind of contradict yourself. He's a non-factor, but I don't like anyone talking ill about me. Babe, he's a non-factor, so then stop talking about it. It pressed you, and it's okay to be pressed about a situation. Let's address it in a mature manner. I was pressed by your comment, Demetrius, and I was hurt by your comment, Demetrius. Simple as. The same way you said you were hurt by Paul's behavior as a friend. Same here for Demetrius. Then it cancels all of this argument. There seems to be a displacement. And displacement would mean is there seems to be a transference of your anger, which should be really for yourself, maybe for the actual true perpetrators, but you put it onto Demetrius as if he's the one that had all the guys rally up and say they don't want you. He's not the one. He doesn't have the final vote. There are other people who have to vote as well. So, babe, deep it. Deep it, deep it, deep it, deep it, deep it. It's not him. It's you. It's not him, it's you.
Why are you trying to make this a big deal and it's not?
I mean, don't you dare look down on me.
What are you talking about?
Because that's not who I am, period. That's the problem.
Well, if you know that, why are you arguing? I
you
said
are
you
not
weren't
God
for
and you
me.
are not Lord Demetrius.
You're not God and you're not Lord, Demetrius. I think Precious is triggered by some of these behavior. I think there's something deeper. I think there's a deeper reason. I don't think Demetrius is a trigger. Just by the nature of the anger about the comment about nightlife, that doesn't seem like somebody who's triggered. That doesn't seem like somebody who's angry at a situation. That sounds like somebody who's triggered by someone maybe speaking on behalf of you, or tarnishing your name or reputation. Maybe you've experienced something like that, because this energy that you're bringing doesn't seem normal. It seems elevated in its energy and its vibrancy for your anger. I think she has every right to be frustrated and annoyed and even angry about it. But the way it's being voiced right now, I don't believe it's just this issue that's the issue. I think there's greater issues here.
What are
Precious, bring it down.
Like,
Now I gotta bring it
are you
down.
drunk? Are you high?
No, bitch, I'm not.
Lord, energy.
You're gonna sit there and sit there and say I'm high now? No, I'm
Like,
high.
what's going on with
No,
you?
because
Like,
you're sitting here
you've been on
disrespecting
10
me, and
all
you think I'm
day.
gonna sit here and allow you to
You've been on 10
disrespect me?
all day.
Disrespectful Precious obviously is a big, big trigger for her. She doesn't like being disrespected, right? Feels like she doesn't feel like you can test me. It means you're not valuing me. It means you don't respect me, and I'm not gonna allow that to happen. I can understand that. But the energy is on 10. Even Tina was like, "Yo, chill." The energy's on 10. Something has got her stoked to a point where her energy's gone skyrocketing up compared to everybody else. There's something deeper that's happening there, right?
I'm the woman I grew up to be. You bitch.
Popcorn and beer.
That was crazy.
I think this might be the first.
And the whole F you, this, bit, this. I'm like, sis, like the combative energy here tells me that something that's happened to, like I say, now, I would need to go back and watch the interview that we had, but there's obviously something deeper that's happened to Precious that she felt that way. But the tension that I don't want to say the explosion, but the explosiveness of her outburst, bruh, like, I need you to explain where that's coming from. I need you to explain why the energy's gone to 10, that you've even walked out, slammed the door as well. We heard it slam the door as well. Babe, what is going on? Talk to me. I'm all ears. Let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think? What do you think the issue was with Precious and Demetrius? Comment down below. Let us know your thoughts down below. We appreciate you guys. Still locked, still loaded, buddy.